Hey there, and welcome back to our second lesson, Percussion with Zach. That's the name of these lessons. So, to review what we looked at last time, we talked about the staff, the place where we write our music out. We talked about the measure, that magical space between the bar lines. We talked about what it means to have a complete measure. We talked about the time signature, and we talked about the quarter note and the beat. And in today's lesson, I would like to focus primarily on those last three items: the time signature, the quarter note, and the all-important beat. Yes, it is all about the beat. So, something I did not emphasize well enough last time, I don't think, is the name of the time signatures. So, we talked extensively about the top and the bottom number, but I don't think I even ever use the name 4/4. Shame on me. So, today we will learn, in fact we just have learned, that the time signature that's written as 2 4s is called 4/4. It is called 4/4 because there are 4 beats in the measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4 beats in the measure, the quarter note gets the beat. I have written out another time signature here. This one is the time signature 3/4. As we discussed last week, a measure is complete when the beats are filled. Beats being specific units of time. In a measure of 3/4, you might ask yourself, how many beats are there? In fact, I will ask you, how many beats do you think there are in a measure of 3/4? If you are saying there are 3 beats in a measure, that is exactly correct. We can see, there are 3 complete beats in the measure of 3/4. That's what the top number tells us. The top number of a time signature tells us how many beats are in a complete measure. So, one of the crucial facts about reading rhythms is the concept of strong and weak beats. You may say to yourself, but all these quarter notes appear to have the same muscle definition. In fact, on the outside, they do. They all look exactly the same, as though they are all the same strength. Yet, we know, as adept musicians and readers of our rhythms, that that is not the case. There are a number of cultural norms that tell us about strong and weak beats. The most common strong beat for our purpose is the first beat of the measure. So it doesn't just, this measure, if I was to say it out loud using what we will continue to learn about for the rest of our lessons as the Kadai vocalese, basically, is what it really is. The Kadai vocalizations, the downbeats are named ta. So if I was to use my Kadai vocalization for the rhythms, the rhythm doesn't just say ta, 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 ta. In a measure of 4/4, it is implicit. That means understood inherently or without being said that the rhythm sounds not ta, 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 but ta, 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 ta. Strong, weaker, stronger, weaker, stronger, weaker, stronger, weaker. So that the first and third beat of a measure in 4/4 are the strong beats, and the beats 2 and 4 are the weaker or unaccented. Another term for strong and weak beats is the term accented and unaccented. From now on, that is how we will refer to them. The first and third beat of a measure in 4/4 are the accented beats, unless otherwise told. The beats 2 and 4 are the unaccented beats. So the measure sounds ta, 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 ta. That creates a certain type of propulsion. In a measure of 3/4, because 3/4 is the name of that time signature, it tells us there are 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, 3 beats in this measure. Remember, a measure is the space between 2 bar lines. These vertical lines are the bar lines on our staff. Our staff is the 5 lines, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 spaces on which we write our music. These quarter notes that we see listed in the space, the C space, in a measure of 3/4, the first beat is often the accented beat, So using our Kadai vocalization, the syllable ta designating the downbeat as marked by the quarter note, this rhythm sounds ta, 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 ta. You might recognize that rhythm as a waltz rhythm. People often call the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 rhythm a waltz rhythm, because it corresponds to the 3 steps in the waltz dance. So let us recap that information briefly. The time signature with 2 4s in it is called 4/4. A time signature with a 3 and a 4 in it is called 3/4. If there is a time signature, I'm getting ahead of myself, pardon me. The top number tells us how many beats are in a measure. A beat is a distinct unit of time. The bottom number tells us what kind of note completes that beat. So in a measure of 4/4, we know, because I am telling you and teaching you at the same time, that the number 4 is a quarter note. 4 equals quarter note. Quarter is a fourth of a whole. So is another way you can think of that. 4 corresponds to a quarter note. A quarter note looks like this. It has a note, like all notes, like all but 2 notes, to be specific. A note has what's called a note head. That black dot on the line, our B line, as you will remember, is called a note head. The line going down from it is called a stem. So the anatomy of this note, this quarter note, on beat 1 in our 4/4 measure, is a note head with a note stem going down. Stems always attach to the note head, and they can either go down on the left side of the note, or they can rise up from the right side of the note. On our next prop, we will see stems rising up from the right side. This measure, again, has our quarter notes with the same anatomy. The note head and the stem descending. Note head, stem descending. Note head, stem descending. In a measure of 4/4, the accented beats are beats 1 and 3. You can use the Kadai syllable ta to talk about a downbeat. I should explain more what a downbeat is. There are many different types of beats. When we start speaking our rhythms, we think in our head a tempo. A tempo is the pace at which the rhythm will sound. If our tempo is that, 1, 2, 3, 4. All beats landing on the tempo, at the same tempo, or on the click of my fingers, are called downbeats. Ta, 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 ta. That is the Kadai vocalization for downbeats. In this next slide, we have eighth notes. I have written out the Kadai syllable for the downbeat, the syllable ta, and I have written out the Kadai syllable for the upbeat, the offbeat, the and. They all mean the same thing, the second eighth note. An eighth note is what happens when you divide a beat in half, directly and evenly in half. As if we were to play a measure in 4/4 time, as you can see here, there's this time signature. It tells us what? It tells us that there are 4 beats in this measure, and that the quarter note, though not seen in this measure, completes the beat. So what we have here is another way of completing an entire measure. If 4 quarter notes complete this measure, and we divide all of those quarter notes in half, what we are left with is 8 eighth notes. You'll notice that 8 eighth notes completes a measure of 4/4, getting into some pretty high-level math here. So, an eighth note is the note value when you divide a quarter note in half. The Kodai vocalization for 2 eighth notes is ta and di. Another symbol you see here are a thick line, a thick bar line, behind a thin bar line, behind 2 dots. The dots are in the A line, A space, and the C space. This symbol at the end of a measure means go back to the beginning and play it again. It's called a repeat sign. If we were to play, or say, in this case, this measure from beginning to end, and then see this symbol, we would repeat. We repeat the whole measure. Go back to the beginning and say the whole thing one more time, which I will do now. This is our tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. You will remember that our accented beats are the first and third beat. Each collection of eighth notes represents one beat. The measure sounds like this. 2, 3. Ta-di, 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 ta-di. Ta-di, 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 ta-di. That's what that measure sounds like. All right, that's all the time we have for this week. Next week, we will talk about our time signatures, dividing the beat in half again. We will cover eighth notes one more time, and we will get into our very first accent pattern. We will see how we can play the accent pattern on our chests using our hands. We will learn about what hands are appropriate for what beat, and we will talk about accent markings. It's true. My question for you is, how many eighth notes would you get if you complete this measure in 3/4 with eighth notes? Remember that each quarter note, when divided in half, is 2 eighth notes. And there are 3 quarter notes. 3 quarter notes complete this measure. How many eighth notes would complete it? If you know the answer, you may comment in the video below. You may send your answer via OWL if you are a fan of Harry Potter. You may Uber Eats it to my house. You may deliver it via an Uber Eats, written in marinara sauce on a pizza. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, signing off for now. Until next time, this has been Percussion with Zach.